this is Trinesha Cottrell, and this is either going to be called, but wait, let me finish, or he's not done with you yet. And when I say the second title, you're like, oh, I know where this is headed. You think you know where this is headed. You probably have like an idea or you get the gist, but let me break it down for you. And so today, let me just give you a little brief summary of my life today and what was happening. And so it's funny. Well, I guess I should start at yesterday. So yesterday I was doing my swimming class. I was on the video and I was planning on doing a video when I came back home and I didn't. I ended up, hold on 1 second. I need 1 second to pause. I'm sorry. I forgot to do something before this video and I can't do a video without doing this. Okay. I just had to make sure because I always set my intentions before every video because I want this to be all about God and not about me. And I know that for some people it doesn't make any sense, but I don't want to ever get so arrogant, egotistical, or so self-righteous or so just only thinking about how something can benefit me that I forget to focus on God, that I forget that the only reason I'm here is to serve, that I forget that the only reason that I'm doing this is because I want people who are in the situation that I am in or the people that are going through things to know and feel like they're not alone. So they don't feel like they're going through life alone and they have to handle all of these things on their own. And I want them to really know that if they seek God, God will step in any area that you ask him to. He will either step in on his own and he will provide an answer for you through scripture or through the Bible, or some action will happen, or he will invite some person into your life who will help you fulfill whatever it is that you asked of him. And I don't mean like you ask him for something crazy or frivolous or something that is detrimental to you. I mean something that really matters to you that you really need. He will provide it for you. And so I just wanted to make sure I did that because I always try to set my intention before every video because I want to make sure that my focus is on the right things. I don't want to be thinking of the ways of the world. I don't want to be thinking about what benefits me. I want to be thinking about what benefits the kingdom, if that makes any sense. And so yesterday I was in my swim class and I was just like, okay, I'm doing the swim class, and the instructor said, "What do you want to work on today, or what's your goal after this?" Because my goal, honestly, this is gonna sound so like trivial to a lot of people who can swim or whatever else. Please don't come for me. Listen, I'm just trying to improve. I'm not trying to be like Michael Phelps or anything like that. I just want to learn a few techniques and be comfortable enough in the water to not be a stereotype. Just kidding. No, but seriously, I feel like some of the stigmas and stereotypes that are on, like, I hate to put it like this and put it into a group of people, but that are on a lot of our people is like things like that. And if it's anything that I can break the barrier on, if it's anything that I can do or I can learn and grow, or if I can expand my knowledge in an area that a lot of our people don't have knowledge in, then that's exactly what I want to do. And it's not that I'm doing it to prove anything. I'm doing it because I just want to be the best version of myself. And if I'm not good at something, if I suck in something, if I don't have knowledge on something, my intention is to learn in any area that I'm lacking, any area that I might not have enough knowledge in. And I don't need to be like a connoisseur of things. I just want to know enough to feel well informed with whatever it is that I'm doing in my life, if that makes any sense. So, like, if I'm going into a room with someone, or if I meet someone, or if I'm friends with someone, I don't want it to just be about me. I want to make sure that I can let it be about other people so I can share in their interests. So it's just one of those things that I like to do. And so I'm in my swim class, and the instructor's like, "What do you want to do?" At the beginning, the thing that I wanted to do was learn how to backflip. I know all the swimmers there got so offended. Oh, you don't know how to do it. The people who, have been swimming since they were two are like, "Oh, that's the easiest thing that you could possibly do." Listen, I don't know if you know, but for those of you that don't know, I almost drowned when I was like in elementary school. And so I have been like not, I've been in the water, but I just started in the past few years since I've been single working on things that I fear. And I feel like it's important to do that because fear is not of the Bible. I wrote this quote down And I cannot remember exactly how it went. Maybe I'll post it tomorrow, but it went something along the lines of fear is irrelevant and also not biblical, or something like that is what it said. It's along those lines. And what I mean by that is fear is based on what we think it could be. It's not, it's kind of like that one quote, the our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate, it's that we are powerful beyond measure. It's because if you could face your fear, you can accomplish anything. Fear is in the mind of who you are. It's rooted in something from your past, or it's what you gave that thing energy to become something bigger than what it is. I was facing some of these fears in the past year, 2 years, and a lot of the things that I thought was scary or I was afraid of ended up being this small. In my mind, it was like this, but in reality, it was like this. And I was like, I can't believe I spent all that time being afraid of that. I can't believe I spent all that time being away from that. Like, you know how many swimming things I could have went to? You know how many I could have been a swimmer. I could have been Michael Phelps. Okay, the female version of Michael Phelps. I could have been that. This is how my head, like in my head, how I think of things. Like, whenever God puts something on my heart or I'm doing something, I really think of like this high. Like, I think of it like like this is where I'm gonna be. I know I set the bar so high for somebody that, before I started loving myself, would believe in myself and everything. But listen, since I've been single, and hopefully when I get into a relationship eventually, I will still have the same mindset about just facing every fear head on. Because I don't want fear to consume me. I don't want it to control my life. I want to live my life to the fullest. I don't want anything stopping me. I don't want anything to be in my way. And so, so my biggest thing was back floating. And in the first class, we had a substitute, and the substitute kind of just went through and said, okay, you're not comfortable back floating. Let's focus on a few other techniques today. And then when the instructor, who is like the permanent instructor who will be here for the entire month, comes in, or the next few months comes in, or couple months, because the instructor switched to the person who's really the head of who's the leader of the class now, or the instructor of the class now. And so when when the instructor came, the very first day, she's like, okay, what was it that you wanted to work on or that you didn't feel comfortable doing in the water? Or why are you taking the class? And I said, well, this happened and I want to be really comfortable in the water. I don't want that to be the thing that I think is big. I don't want it to just be something that I don't end up doing. And honestly, when we went right from, like, I didn't back float right away, we learned literally right away, just started backpedaling, like just arms to your side, just feet kicking in the water. That was just the first thing that I learned that day that the instructor started. And at first I was like, and I used to, right before I would go and I would start swimming, or I would kick myself off the wall or whatever when I would start going to back float. At first, my head wasn't back enough because I wanted to be like this because I still had that fear. And eventually I could notice my head doing this and this. And the further back your head is, like, it's like physics, it's kind of like your body just naturally, the rest of you wants to go up as well. It's because your head is back. If your head's like this, your body's going to want to go like that. So it's just like it all works together, and it's like little techniques that you do that just keeps your body afloat and then you relaxing. And so I had to like practice breathing techniques as I was swimming and stuff like that. So instead of me going and then doing that, I would be like, okay, and she'd be like, just relax. The more relaxed you are, the easier it will be. And the first couple times, I'm not gonna lie, for people that are trying to do it, they're like, oh yeah, you just did it so quickly. No, listen, I had to really practice to become better at it. I didn't just become good the very first try. And some of the techniques in swimming, I did well the first time, but it does take practice to get techniques down. Like, you don't just all of a sudden know how to do everything. Someone shows you how to do it. You keep on doing it and you become better and better at it. You're with speed, with, technique, whatever it is. And so the first like couple times I'm like starting to go under a little, and then like I'm kicking off, and when you kick off, sometimes your nose goes under, and I'm like and standing up, I'm like, we don't do that. I'm like, but eventually I became more comfortable. And what helped me is the instructor said, listen, no matter what is happening right now, you can stand up in this water. Not only that, but you got this. And not only that, but hum. I was like, hum? And she's like, yeah, when you hum, the water will blow right out of your nose. Even if you go under a little, you will be blowing bubbles through your nose because you're humming. And so at the beginning of every time when we would start back paddling or whatever you want to call it, I would, when we would kick off the wall and I would start, flutter kicking my feet, I would just do like a to relax my body, and I would kick off. And as I was kicking off, I would go, hmm. Now, like, it's more natural. Now I'm just like, okay. The other day, though, like last Saturday, I was like, hmm. I had started. I was so like relaxed and everything. I didn't think about it, and then I felt myself go down a little bit. And I was like, and I started blowing up my nose, and then I got up a little bit. I was like, why did I get up? I know how to do this. I could have just kept going, and I would have just came back up anyways because I know how to do this now. But I'm saying that in this story because I think it's important to know that in life, when you're going through things, sometimes it could seem harder than it is. Sometimes fear will make you do horrible at something. Sometimes fear will stop you from being the best that you can be in that thing. And for me, like with swimming, because of, almost drowning and everything, it just kind of made me feel like, okay, I'll never go in the water again. I'm just going to stay away from it. And I would get in the water, but I would get in water that, was the same height as me. I would get in water and I would be like, okay, I'm here. I'm doing this. I just don't feel comfortable on my back because, I don't know what it was with the back. Like I could do face forward. I could do underneath the water. I could do one of these, the glides. That was my only technique. And then like I would swim with my head over water because I would be like a little. I wouldn't say I was a swimmer. Like I did a rough draft of that technique. And I really didn't know like how my hand was supposed to be or anything. I just kind of went with it. And since I've been in this class, like I've been learning like freestyle techniques, which freestyling is when you're going like this and your head is in the water, you're doing this, and then you go like this and you put your head out of the water to breathe like in between swims. And so I've been like learning different techniques like that I thought I would never do. Like I never thought I would freestyle. I never thought I would be on my back. And eventually after I was kicking my feet, then we started to do the backstroke, you know. And it's just like a windmill. You just keep on going and you just have to be on your back. And then the last class, she was like, "Okay, have you ever back floated before?" And I said, "No, you know what? I haven't." We kind of just went right into the, kicking and just swimming on your back. I never even back floated. And so she did teach me a technique on how to get, like in the middle of the pool. Like, let's say I wanted to start back paddling in the middle of the pool. I learned that technique. So you just, go up and then you have to do like certain things with your legs and stuff just so that you stay up and relax. And so I did that. And then last last class yesterday, then we went and she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna show you how to back float." And I was like, "Okay." I would remember I gotta do this with my legs. I gotta do this. And she's like, "Okay, do that." And then she's like, "Now just stay there. Just go like this. Just go like this. Like wherever you want your arm position to be, whatever. If you want to do one of those with your, because you have to have your hands like this, but your arms have to go right behind your ears when you are kicking off the wall sometimes, and it will push you under up, if that makes any sense. And that's just the way it goes. It's not like you're going under. It's just because if you're pushing off the water and your feet are down a little or whatever, they're not all the way up here when you start. They're right here. So your body's right here. Then you go up, you know? So I've just been learning a couple things like that I thought I would never do. But if I had stayed in fear, if I had let fear control my life, I would have never ever given that a chance. I would have never even knew that I liked swimming that much. I would have never felt as comfortable with myself being in a situation like that or being in different types of water or whatever else. I would have always felt like that would be something that I could never do. And last year when I went on a family trip with a few family members, I did a lot of different things. I was around an animal that I was afraid of. And I did not run, I didn't scream. I sat there, I calmed myself. Like, I was still a little nervous, let's be real, but I stayed there and I surprised myself. Then I went jet skiing in the middle of the ocean. And yes, I know you're like, you can only glide. Why are you in the middle of the ocean? The water in the ocean only came to here. So even if I flew off the jet ski, I could still, once I flew off, I could literally go under, stand up, if that makes any sense. So it wasn't like I would be like underwater and, in some kind of situation. It was like that type of water. And so I was good. But I was afraid at the beginning. But I needed to do it because I needed to face my fears. I didn't want fear to consume me. I didn't want that to be the thing that I just ended up doing, that I just let control my life. I needed to make sure that fear knew that it couldn't have me in that moment. And it's funny because when my ex first left, when, we were deciding that that was the end of it. Well, when I decided and then, it was over, then God just kind of set everything up for me. Like, I didn't plan on being alone. I didn't plan on doing like any of those things in my life at all. It just kind of happened. And right before I made the decision, it's like God had me cutting the grass. And I know this is like just gender role specific and everything else. And I don't believe in the roles. I think that whatever you're good in, you do that. But I wasn't normally doing that. Usually it was like one of my family members or someone else came and cut the grass or, whatever else. But I started doing the push more in the yard. I would push the front yard or whatever else. And the backyard's harder because it's got like little hills and stuff, so it's harder to push more of that. But I love doing that. I never even thought I would love doing that, but it just it works out my leg muscles. I mean, it just I don't know. It just felt invigorating. I don't know why. I just loved it. But I would have never known that I loved it if I didn't try. Like, I would take the trash out, do the trash, do the dishes, cook. Like, I just started becoming real self-sufficient towards the very end. And I was always super independent anyways, even though I was codependent. But I always like took care of myself. I always didn't mind working like 3, 4, 5, however many jobs I needed to work to just make sure I'm good. I was gonna do it regardless. And so it seemed like God was just like, okay, I'm gonna make sure you have this position so you can take care of yourself. I'm gonna make sure that you cut the grass so that you could do this. I'm gonna make sure that you face some of your fears. That animal is gonna be right there in your yard and you're gonna have to deal with it on your own. And I did. And then I was cutting the grass and I was doing the laundry, and it just seemed like everything that I needed to for God to, like, God made I prayed about it and God told me this was the right decision. And I knew it was the right decision because I didn't want to be miserable anymore. And it's like God was like, when you make this decision, I got you. And I trusted him. I didn't like go, oh no, God, like I wasn't worried at all. I just knew that he got me. And so when I made the decision, it was like in preparation for that time, like in the 3 months before or a couple months before, it's like he just started making it like bonuses and, like starting a new position, and like doors just kept opening up for me randomly out of nowhere. And I don't want to say random, it was all God. He made sure that I had every single thing that I needed. So I wasn't at lack of anything, you know? And I know some people are like, oh, well, but no, like there's a lot of people that can't leave because they don't make enough to leave. There's a lot of people that have no choice because where are they going to go when they're isolated from their family? Or there's a lot of people who, it's like, okay, well, how am I going to handle all of these things on my own? I have kids, I have whatever else going on, and it's not easy, even though people try to make it seem like it's a one sentence solution for their entire life. One sentence can never resolve your entire life's issues at all. Only God can do that. And God can do it with you putting forth an effort, because faith without works is dead. And He will send the people that you need, the things that you need in your life so that you can be successful. And it's not like a one day thing. Sometimes you need to prepare yourself to be able to do these things in your life. You can't just be like, all right, I'm gone. That's it. Like, Some people can do that because they have the opportunity and they have people in their life who are great support systems who will be able to help them do that. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants to be a burden on someone else. And so they want to be able to resolve the issue on their own so that they can take care of themselves, you know? And so it's just like things like that let me know that fear is just not something that we need in our lives. It's definitely not biblical because if you have God in your life, you should be a fear of nothing, because nothing's going to happen without God saying yes to it. And so I have been, and lately has been a little different, in my life. And I've just been trying to get a handle on things. And I've been praying for things, and I'm almost to the end of my fast. I have 4 or 5 days left of my fast, and then it's over. And during this fast, this is what I learned so far. I know, like, I just want to set the record straight for the people online who always say things like this. And I might be another person that adds to that, but it's going to look a little different. Like, I was thinking, I'm going to fast to grow this relationship with God. And I really fasted because I wanted to know that with or without any person, place, or thing in my life, that I was still going to stay focused on God. I was fasting because I wanted God to be enough without all of the other things. I wanted God to know that I would be faithful, that He could trust in me. And I wanted to show God my appreciation for Him sending His only begotten Son, for Him being there for me every step of the way, for Him. Like, I wanted to just be obedient and to find direction in my life because, like I said, I've been on pause and waiting. So I just kind of wanted to know what I needed to be doing. And during this time, God has removed a lot of things from my life. Like, and you hear the stories of people that do like the Daniel fast or they do different fasts, and it's like, I got a new job, a new car, I got a husband. Like, they tell this long list of story of things that just have been introduced into their life as if, you know, God just only blessed them with things the entire time. And this is where I'm going to say the same thing. God definitely blessed me the entire time. I know you're like, how could He have blessed you when most people get things added and you've gotten things taken away? It may look like things have been taken away from my life, but everything that was removed was for a reason. You know, TG, and I don't know if this is TG's original statement, but he says, rejection is God's protection. And I really feel like that's true. Like with the job, when, a lot of people would say, well, I was rejected from the job. But I really feel like it was God's protection because it wasn't making me into a better person. It wasn't, I didn't feel content. I felt uneasy with, person, place, or things in my life. It didn't make me feel great, you know. And I honestly feel like when you're with someone who God wants to be a part of your life, and I'm not saying it's the person's job to make you happy. Please set the record straight there because it is not a person's job to be God for you ever. I think that is so unrealistic to expect a human being to ever be God because they will never amount to what God can do in your life. I just honestly feel like whenever God sends a person in your life, whether it's a friend or a potential romantic partner who hopefully will be my friend first and then it'll become something else because we can get to learn each other and we will be like friends. It won't be like, oh, it has to be romantic. We could actually figure out if this is something that we want to do, in the meantime. I don't know how that's going to work out because I don't know. God's got it. I don't got it. And so I really feel like you feel wanted and appreciated. And I'm not saying the person right off respects you, but hopefully they learn real quick to respect me, you know, and by me having healthy standards and boundaries and being intentional and really just having accountability, you know? Oh my goodness, my nail. Okay. But yeah, that's the way I think that I'm hoping that I will be treated in the future by a person who I'm in a relationship with. I hope that they really truly do want me. I don't know if that's a weird thing to say, but women, I feel like you get what I'm saying. I don't know. And that they respect me as a person. They, you know, I was going to say the other thing, but people are going to take it and run with it and think I mean something completely different. But I was going to say, and I'm not going to say that. But yeah, hopefully it'll be something like that. And any job that I work at, I don't want the job to run me. I don't want the job to control me. I want to be a good steward and, put forth an effort in my job and do it to the best of my ability. I want to be intentional and knowledgeable and willing to learn and educate myself on the role and the position. And I want to feel valued. I don't want to feel like my job is my life. I want to definitely appreciate and honor the job that I have, but I still want to be with my friends and my family. I still want to be able to do me time. I still want to be able to do my business. I don't want the job to overtake my entire life. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I look for in a job. And I will say God has blessed me with a lot of things, clarity, insight, um, just things that I thought that I needed in my life that I really don't need. I had this idea of this person, friends, other people in general, and not that I just jumped to a conclusion on them, but in my mind, I just thought this person is, this, and this. And within my fast, I've learned so much about the person that I hadn't learned in like the past year. And I feel like I would have never known had I not fasted, if that makes any sense. So it's kind of like God didn't bless me with a bunch of materialistic objects that were going to, transform my life. He blessed me with knowledge. He blessed me with the insight that I needed. He blessed me with things that seem like they're not as big as the other things that people talk about on their Daniel fast that they've been blessed with. But I feel like God gave me the things that I needed in that moment, allowing me to just be more knowledgeable of the things that I want in my life, allowing me to see what really does matter to me. Like does money or this matter more? Like, am I willing to sell my soul for a position? Am I willing to sell my soul for a person? Am I willing to put a person before God, or a person, place, or thing before God? When it really comes down to it, am I willing to sacrifice who I am for somebody else? You know, and when I think about things like that, I always think of what does it benefit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Because I can't imagine giving up my soul for anything in this world. There's not enough money that would make me want to do that. And yes, I still do want to be a billionaire. And nothing is wrong with that. I want God first, the billion second, in that order, you know? And people will say, "Oh, that's greedy. You don't need $1 billion. You don't know what God is going to place on my heart for me to do for other people with $1 billion." That's the way I should be thinking about it. It's not about me buying the latest fashion trends or traveling the world every single day of the or every month going on some sort of vacation. Not that anything's wrong with that. It's about me pouring into the world what God has given me. It's about me being willing to let go of things that I think that I need. Like, Sometimes, like, I know I told the story about God telling me to give up a certain amount of money, and I was like, "You want me to give this up?" And, usually I'm really good about it. The one time, like, I was kind of like, "Okay, God, see the way these finances are set up right now, I don't know if," and God is like, "Give it." And in that moment, I was really like Whoopi Goldberg on Ghost, like, I was holding on to it so tight, and I was just like, I released it. I was a little hesitant. I'm just gonna be real, and I know a lot of people don't want to say that when they're Christian or whatever else. They want to pretend like they just give it willingly. But I really did have a moment that one time, and I was like, God, you sure? And he was like, yes. And I was like, okay. I mean, what am I gonna say about it? I mean, it's not mine anyways. It's God's money. This hat isn't mine, it's God. This house isn't mine, it's God's. Everything that I have is God. You know, I would not be here in this moment without God. So if God is saying give up something, that that thing doesn't have me. God does. You know? So I can't allow that thing to be an idol in my life. You know, God is the only thing I want to idolize. And I say that with the praying hands and the cross on. Listen, I know some people are like, you're doing the most. Why are you wearing a t-shirt that says, what does it say? Good Lord, God is good all the time. Listen, it's because I went to this concert and his name is David Leonard. And so I went to that concert and I got this t-shirt. And yes, it was a lot of fun. And yes. So I'm not doing the most. I had a moment before I wore this shirt today. Let me tell you. I had a moment before I wore the shirt today. And you know how I'm always wearing the it shirts and all the scary movie stuff and the horror movie stuff and everything. And I was like, maybe I'll sleep in this shirt. I don't know if I'm gonna wear it out, whatever else. And God's like, so you're gonna wear your horror movie shirts, but you don't are you are you ashamed of me? And I put that shirt on so fast. I was like, no, 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 no. I wasn't saying that. I'm just, I'm putting on this shirt because, like, I, I'm not in the part of the country where I have to, pretend as if I'm not about that God life. So I was like, the shirt is coming on. So I put it on and I'm wearing it proudly because, God is everything to me. And I wasn't saying I wanted to wear it home. Okay, let me be honest because I'm not gonna lie on God. I literally was thinking, people already think I'm a goody two shoes, which I don't really care what people think. But in my head, I was just like, I'm gonna be out in these streets. Like, I might be somewhere alone today, so I'll probably get hit on by one of the people or something, you know. And but I wasn't alone. I was with people most of the time today, so that was good. But I was like, I'm gonna be by myself, and this guy is gonna see me with this praying hands and a cross necklace, and he's gonna be like, all right, so I'm probably not gonna be able to do all of these things right at this very moment. So let me not talk to her. And I was just like, but would I want that guy anyways? You know, not that I'm saying I'm judging or that, one way or I'm not I have nothing to say about that at all. And I know you're like, well, you're religious, but you don't have anything to say about that. No, because I don't feel like it's my job to judge anybody. And I don't know what I will or won't do. I know that I want to stay focused on God. I know I want to be the best version of myself. That's what I know. That's it. I can't say what I'm going to do tomorrow or the next day. I hope that I will do and make the best choices that I possibly can with my life. That's all I can do. So, me sitting there like looking down my nose at somebody else for making a different decision than I've made in this moment is not making me better than them. It's making me worse, actually, because I have no right to judge you. You know, I mean, I want everyone to believe in themselves and know, like, who they are and who God says they are and understand like what every decision that they're making means and know that they're not alone when it comes to people making personal choices in their life that God is going to use for their testimony. I can't just make them think the way that I do. they have to make their own choices sometimes. I can only say what I say to try to help people, like maybe let them know they're not alone, inspire them, serve in some sort of way. That's it. The choice that they make is on them. Like they have to choose that their value. They have to choose their worth. They have to choose if they want to make this decision or that decision. And I'm not saying that you making a bad choice makes you worthless. I'm just saying that I want everybody to love themselves, regardless of what the situation is. And I'm saying that not non-judgmentally, you know. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, some guy's gonna be getting ready to hit on me, and he's gonna be like, "Well, she's wearing that shirt, then she's probably a goody two shoes," And I'm just like, and then guys like, "You wear your horror shirts, and nobody's saying that you're." I'm not gonna say it on this camera, but just fill in the blank there. And I was like, I really put the shirt on so fast. I was like, "You're right," because if it was somebody that I was meeting, I would want them to be equally yoked. And maybe they see the shirt and they're like, "Oh, I go to church at such and such place." I don't know if that will ever happen. No person ever that has ever hit on me. But in my head, this is what I'm imagining. And guys like, I just need to know that I'm important in your life. I have created this whole situation in my mind, like, oh, I like that shirt. Where'd you get it from? Oh, you go to church, and I go to church at such and such place. And I'm not saying that you should only date people who seem overly religious, because some of the people in church will hurt you worse than any person in the world ever could. I had to say that. I know, a little bit of old Nisha slipping through the cracks there, but listen, it's so true. So you really have to ask God for discernment of the person and the spirit. You have to know that they're equally yoked with you, and they don't have to be God, 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 God. Like they're a person outside of God as well. You have to figure out what their core characteristics, values, traits are. You have to know, if you really feel something in your intuition that something is wrong, run. Like you got to really know what it is that you're looking for, what you want, what you don't want. And I don't mean you make a 3-page list of unrealistic standards for some guy that will never be God or a woman that will never be God. You know, you let people be who they are. And if it doesn't matter that you guys like all of the same things, just because you like different things doesn't mean that if you're in a relationship with them, you won't try some of the things that they like. Like, let's say somebody was into Pokemon, and I'm not into Pokemon. Just because I'm not into Pokemon doesn't mean I won't date the person. I might like Pokemon. I might want to catch them all. Oh my gosh, that was the corniest but best joke ever that I've ever told. Okay. I'm gonna try not to say jokes like that anymore, but I can't make any promises. But seriously, I told you I love corny jokes. They really make me crack up like this. Like you thought I was joking, but seriously, like I love corny jokes so much. Cuz like in my head, this is how I think of it. I'm like, it's not at anybody else's expense. Like it's so I don't want to say dumb cuz that's like a not nice word, but it's just so like plain that it's funny to me. It's so like it's not dry, but it's like the mom dad jokes kind of thing. It's just like it's like a knee smacker. I don't know, but I know everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, really?" I thought that she was cool until she did that. Listen, I don't have to be cool. I just need to be about that God life. So that's what I'm focusing on. I can be as corny as I don't know what, but that's just it is what it is. And so as although things have been taken from my life and I've been going through this journey, and I'm smiling now, but I've been having like moments at the end of the day where it seemed like the spiritual warfare is hitting me so hard, and I don't know what it is and why it's happening, but it's crazy. It's like I'll have the most amazing day. I'll be in good spirits, I'll be focusing, I'll be saying my I am statements, calling on the name of God because God is the great I am. And so I will be saying things like that, and I'll be speaking life into myself. I'll be reading the Bible. I'll be intentional. And it's like right towards the very end of the day, I could feel all of these negative thoughts just hit me so fast. And I'm like, I'm not even thinking about any of that stuff at all. It'll be like, you're not worthy. You're not good enough. You're not that, like, it'll just keep coming and coming and coming and coming. And every time I get ready to say I am, or I get ready to do something, it's like over and over. It's like continuous strikes, attacks happening for like a full 30 seconds to a minute. Just, I mean, coming hard at me. And I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about that. And then after the minute's over, I'm like, I spend a good, and this is just me being realistic. And I'm not saying it because I want to bring people down or because I want to make you think that, I just let this overtake my whole life. But for a good 5 minutes after that, I'm sitting there literally feeling like crap, for real. And I know you're like, that's so weird. It is weird. I don't know. Like, I really feel like something's about to happen in my life, because the last time my spiritual warfare was so horrible, I wrote that book. And the time after that, I ended up helping so many other women at this thing that I wasn't going to do because, the adversary just kept throwing all of these spiritual, emotional, and psychological attacks at me, and just trying to make me feel like I couldn't do the things that God already placed upon me to do. And right when I was about to give up, God sent certain people, or it would be people that would come out of nowhere, and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, your book helped me so much. Your book helped me realize that I'm not alone. Oh my gosh, when you put this post on there, when you say this inspiration, that's exactly what I needed that day. I was going through this, and when I saw that, I knew that I couldn't give up." You know, it'll be things like that that just come up. Like for example, I went to church today. And I'm gonna tell this. I hope and pray that none of the people watch this. Maybe the one of the people, but I'm not saying it to like shine a bad light on anyone, make anyone look a certain type of way, anything like that. So I go to one church. Sometimes I go to two churches. I go to one church near me and another church near me on Sundays. But today I was gonna go visit one of my family members who has been like recovering, and they're going through a lot of stuff and everything. The one that I was talking about on the video when I was like breaking down in tears. And so they're doing better. Thank God. They're doing better. And so I knew that I wouldn't be able to go to my church home today. Like I was gonna dial in because we do have a conference call that you can dial into the church service every Sunday. And so I I go and at first I wasn't going to go. I was like, I can't go. It's too hard. I don't want to go there. I know this sounds so childish and so weak of me to say this, but this is how I was really feeling. And I know there's other women that probably feel like this too. Like, no, I can't be at this place because this person's going to be there. I can't go to this because this person's going to be there. I can't do this thing because I already look silly, and me being there is going to make me look blah. And I really was feeling like weak this week last night. I mean, yeah, last night, because the attacks have been coming at night, and I went to sleep. I had this whole dream. Like I prayed. I prayed, and then I played a sermon as I slept because I needed it so badly last night. And the sermon was preaching, and when I think a commercial or an ad came on when the sermon was playing, and every time an ad would come on, the adversary would slip that person into my mind and be like, he would be like, yes, he's with someone else or something. It would be like little stuff like that would come into my mind. And then the sermon would start again. And it would like all of the things that just happened would erase in my dream. And I would hear like, you're better than this. You could do better than this. God has so much more for you. You can't stop going. Like I could just hear the sermon and the person just preaching so powerfully, and it just all of the things that were happening at that one moment in my dream just like evaporated. Like it couldn't withstand the power of this sermon or whatever. I don't know how to describe it, but it just fleed, you know. And as I fell asleep, I could feel the adversary like trying to make my flesh weak. And I'm just like, as I'm asleep. And I'm like, no. I'm like, for why am I even feeling this way right now? Like, and I was just like, I literally felt like I have to do this. I have to go to this place. I have to talk to this person. And I'm like, I'm not talking to them people. I'm not doing that. No. And I started saying like scriptures as I was sleeping. And it's so weird because I get into like that little in between stage, and but whenever like I'm on fire for God, or I'm like super focused and I'm listening to scripture or whatever else, when I'm sleeping, the adversary tries to come into like my dreams, or he will like in between that stage where I get ready to turn over, he will start like putting these thoughts into my head, or like trying to make my flesh weak, and I'll just be like, no. I don't even have that person's number anyways. I'm not calling anybody. I'm not calling a friend. I'm not calling, you know, anybody. I'm not calling other people who are going to make it worse, like they're just going to tell me all the wrong things to do. Like, I don't have a lot of people like that in my life. I have people that I was friends with before, that I'm acquaintances with, that would give me horrible advice, and it would be like, no, I'm not going to I'm not going to go back to that person just because, like, and I just feel like have a moment of weakness, and I'm like, no. Like last night, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. No, no, and no. Let my yes be yes and my no be no. And it's like when you start quoting scripture, the adversary just starts to flee. He's just like, I don't know what to do with this. And so I woke up in the morning and I was just like, I was like, thank you. Well, my alarm went off so I could do my grateful, thankful thing, and, praise God at 5 a.m. because that's what I do, because I want to set my intention so that first thing in the morning, I'm intentionally seeking God. And so God's like, rest. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to rest. And I'm getting ready to get up. And I get like this weird thought crosses my mind right before I get up. And it's like, the person is like, yeah, I don't, like, they said some negative, really horrible things to me that they have never said in real life. So this is just only a thought that just was dropped in my head, but I don't know what's going on. But, and then I get this phone call from my uncle, and he's like, are you going to church this morning? And I said, no, I'm not going. I can't go. I know this sounds so weak minded, but listen, just stick with it, okay? I promise I have a point. And so I'm like, and when I say weak, we're the weaker vessel. And I mean, like, sometimes, the flesh gets weak. Sometimes you have moments of weakness. That's what I mean by weak. Not like I'm a weak person just because I have a weak moment. So let me just clarify that. And so I'm like, I can't imagine being there and seeing that person. It just, it would be too difficult for me. I just can't do it. I can't do it. And I'm just saying I can't. And my uncle, oh my gosh, I have the best family ever. He says, listen, I can't imagine what you're feeling right now, but I know that you you have to go to church. You can't allow any person to stop you from going to church. You can't allow any person to, you have your intention set on God. You're always, talking about scripture. You're inspiring other people. You are literally like doing the right things in your life. You can't allow somebody to stop you from God, stop you from going somewhere with the intention of God. You're going to seek God. You're not going to seek that person. You're not going because you're trying to see someone, or you're not going because your intention is cruel. You're going there because you have built a relationship with God, and you are there because of God, not anybody else. If you don't go, that is like you letting that person control you. I said, oh, well, I said, okay. I just said, okay, like that. And right before he said all of that with Flash, yeah, right after he said that, he was like, that's like letting that person control you. And I said, okay. And he was like, well, since you're not going, I was like, why he gonna play me like that and really do one of those? He's like, well, since you're not going, I said, no, I'm gonna go. He said, you're gonna go? And I was like, yes, I'm gonna go. And I got up, I started doing yoga, I did my Dappy T keys. If y'all don't know, you really have to YouTube Dappy T Keys. He is a pianist who plays spiritual music. It's about like growing a connection with God or whatever. It's kind of like when you listen to spa music to meditate or just relax. It's so relaxing. It's a piano instrumental thing, and like you will not be sorry if you listen to it. I do that when I listen to yoga so that all the theories of you opening up yourself to spirits and stuff is blocked. The only spirit that's going into my system is the Holy Spirit. Okay. And so in Jesus name. And so so I listen to that because it gives me time that I can relax and spend with God at the same time. Like I try to do like multiple things at once, and I know like God's time is all about him. But since I'm doing yoga, I'm doing something that's helping my body. I'm treating my body like a temple, and I'm focusing in on him. And so I do that. And right before I do my yoga, I start thinking about the swim class and how as soon as I started believing in myself, as soon as I faced my fear, I was good. And I could hear God saying, fear is not biblical. I'm like, okay, God, that's the quote that I said yesterday. And yes, I know it's somewhere in the Bible where it says fear is not of God. But I was just like, oh my gosh, that is so true. And he's like, nothing can stop what I put on the inside of you at all. A lot of things in your life might not have worked out the way that you wanted them to. But if you start being afraid now, you won't get everything that I have for you. And I was like, okay, like I needed these people to come at me like this and tell me like it is, because I really needed that so that I could be intentional and do the things that I wanted to do or that I needed to do. And it was so true. Like this is not like the person like is evil or they did anything to make me feel. I mean, of course, I feel a certain type of way because of my own things, that I'm dealing with on my end. And I can't control what anybody else does but me, and God is in control of everything. And so when I went, I focused on God. And the message was so for me. It was so for me. Like I was supposed to be there today. I really was. And I did dial into my service as well afterwards. The service ended, I think, 45 minutes before my church began, and I dialed into my church as well while we were on the way to go visit another family member. But I really I really was sitting there like, oh wow, like this message is for me. The pastor got up and he started preaching about this puzzle. He held up a puzzle piece and he started talking about the book of Samuel, and Samuel being king and Saul, and how Saul had lost the donkeys, and then his dad had told him to go out to find the donkeys, and as he was going out looking all over the place, he ends up at this kingdom where they want to set him as king. He goes through a prophet to try to find the donkeys, and then they want him to become king because he's at the right place just out of nowhere. And the pastor said that's kind of like how our life is. We think that we're doing all of these random things that don't add up to anything, but all of them are a piece of God's puzzle for our life. Like each piece kind of, it hangs on the other piece. Everything that you're doing in one season, or everything that God is doing in your life, is for another purpose. It's for another piece to be added to your story. And he said sometimes things can happen in our life. He said sometimes things can happen in our life that we don't want to happen that way, or we're sitting there and we're just like, we don't understand what the reason for that was, or why this had to happen this way, or why, God didn't give you this, or he gave you that, or whatever else. And everything that's happened has been for a benefit of the kingdom. Everything that's happened has been for a reason, because it's adding on to your story, because it's beneficial for your journey, because even though you can't see right now how it's helping you in your journey, or whatever else, it is the thing that you need to push you into the next season. And he didn't say the next season, that's my words, but you get the gist. That's the thing that you need for God to be able to use on the inside of you so that he can make those things work for his benefit, so that it can benefit the kingdom. And he said it's not about you, it's about God. It's about benefiting the kingdom. It's about what makes his name great, not your name. It's about, no matter what's happening in your life, it's about knowing that he is God, you know. And sometimes we think, oh, well, you know, I deserve this or I want that or whatever else. And God is saying, we don't deserve anything, but he deserves everything. You know, and the pastor kind of said something like, should we get it? No. You know, should we have God's grace and mercy? No, but we do, because he's a God full of grace and mercy. And he wants you to have it because he loves you. It's not because this is just what you want, it's because it benefits the kingdom. And, you know, sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow because we have this you know, I want this, I want that, but it's not what we need. It might look good, it might smell good, it might taste good, it might be a person, place, or thing that we just want so badly, but that might not be what God knows that you need in this season or in your life. And yes, it does suck. Nobody said that you have to like it. God God is not deterred from doing what's best for you just because you don't like something that's happening in a season of your life. He's going to do it regardless because he wants better for you than you want for yourself. He knows exactly what it is that you need. And, you know, it's not easy to, you know, not have things in your life that you want. It's not easy to see, you know, other people do different things, or, you know, seem like other people are doing good in their life and you're putting forth so much effort and you're just like, okay, well, I'm doing all the right things. Am I doing something wrong? Like, I immediately start to feel like, okay, I'm in church, I'm in Bible study, I'm focusing in on God, I'm, you know, trying to be a good person. I'm like, am I doing something wrong? You know? And God is saying, no, you're exactly where you need to be. So I have a few Bible verses and I wrote a thing on Facebook as well, but I probably won't do the Facebook thing. But something that really helps me is Psalm 16:8. It says, I know the Lord is with me always. I will not be shaken, for he is right beside me. And this verse helps me because no matter what I'm going through, I always know that God is right there with me. I don't have to go at anything alone. I might be sad, I might be disappointed, I might not get what I want. But when I feel sad, when things don't turn out the way that I want them to, I know that I'm not going through it alone because God's right there with me, you know? And sometimes we do feel alone. We feel like we have to go through things by ourselves. But God is always there, you know? And anytime any of his children call on him, he will always make a way out of no way, you know? And then the other one that I was listening to this sermon from this pastor, and he started talking about ants. And for people that don't know, it's automatic negative thoughts, you know? And it's one of those psychology today things. And it's just one of those things that's like pestering, you know, like it's just like as soon as it's warm outside, the ants are just all over the sidewalks and everywhere, you know. But seriously, the automatic negative thoughts are something that just constantly just comes into your mind, kind of like that point that I had at night, you know, with the spiritual warfare or whatever else. It's just like no matter what I was doing, it's just like all of the negative thoughts just kept, you know, pushing towards me, just trying to make me feel like I couldn't go on, you know, and saying all the wrong things, you know, like anything that I could have struggled with in the past or anything that I thought I was over. And in this moment, I definitely didn't need that. But the adversary doesn't play fair. He wants you at your weakest so he could break you. You know, he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. It's kind of like in my mind, what I was thinking is like God has the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, and the adversary has three things: steal, kill, and destroy. It's like for every good thing that goes on in your life, the adversary is always trying to put something worse on you to make you doubt God's promises, because he just wants you to not be able to fulfill your purpose. He just wants you to stop, to give up, because he feels like he can cause you to drift. He can cause you to doubt yourself, and the thing that really gave me like the extra oomph when I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, or I just was feeling like a little down, was I was listening to the sermon and I was just like, okay, I was really like this, and I was just like, I don't know how I got here so quickly. Like everything that he knows that bothers me, or that I was struggling with, he just threw in my face right in that moment. And I could picture, because the one person sent me this picture of the other person, and everything else, and it's just like all of those negative thoughts and that picture flow, like just flash in front of my mind, and it's just like, and I feel almost defeated, and I feel like, I want to be hopeful, but but and then as I start to feel down, and I start to feel like I don't know how I'm going to have hope, or I don't know what I'm going to do in this moment, right at that moment, the pastor says this, and it snaps me right back. He said, I know it may seem like things aren't working out the way that you wanted them to. I know it may seem like you're going through one of the worst times in your life, or like the spiritual warfare doesn't end, or, you've lost so many things in your life. But always remember that God says, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And a future. This is not the end. This is only a part of your story. This is only a page. This might only be a sentence. Like, we always make it seem like that bad thing is just the whole, our entire life. But it's not. It's just a moment. And the moment will pass like everything else. So, in conclusion, whenever you're going through something in life, always seek God's help. Like, don't be shy. Don't be scared. Just reach out and call on his name. Call on the great I am. Like, start speaking those I ams over your life. Listen to sermons. Read the Bible. Spend time with God. And when you can't do that, like, if you need to, hire a counselor. Allow them to get you to work on those past traumas or things that you've been through, because sometimes you don't realize that's still a trigger, and you need to be able to work those things out. And anytime there's an ant, and I don't mean like the Geico commercial, expired. You're like, you watch too much TV. No, listen, I only see these every once in a while, and most of them are during the Super Bowl or something like that. But but whenever you have the automatic negative thoughts, you need to start writing down some scriptures that will help you combat those things. Because if it wasn't for me listening to scripture, if it wasn't for my uncle calling, if it wasn't for a lot of the things that I do in my life, I might not be here talking right now. Like, the things that he was saying was just like, and it's so weird because it gives you spiritual amnesia, and you forget that you can call on God. You're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's like, really? You don't know what you're going to do? Really? 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 And it's like, oh yeah, I can call on God. I just remembered I could call on God. And it's like, you can absolutely call on God anytime you need him. Like, that's what he's there for. He's not there just to be God. He's there because he cares about you. He's there because he is God. He's there because he wants you to be happy. He doesn't just want you to be sad and feel like he's just taking everything away from your life. Like I said in the one part of the story, God's rejection is your protection. It's for your protection. He's doing all of those things because he has better for you, because there's someone else that's graced more for you, because he has another position that, even if it doesn't pay 300, 400,000 or whatever, and you might not make anywhere near that amount of money, whatever it is, The job that you will be in will give you more time with your family and friends, and it will give you more time with your business, and your business might end up making you a millionaire or a billionaire. But because you start to think of it in lack instead of all of the things that God can do, because He's the God of abundance, He could literally make anything happen. Because you're thinking about it like that, you're thinking that you lost something and you didn't lose anything. God will never have you be at lack of anything that you need in your life. His plans are to prosper you and not to harm you. So always remember that. Always remember that He is with you, that He plans to give you hope and a future.